Another shambolic defeat, another shambolic performance. Arteta has bought blunt knives. That's right, I said it. Arteta has bought blunt knives to finish the meal. I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports. If you're new to the show, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and then turn on your notifications so you don't miss the show every time we upload. Let's get into this one. Mikel Arteta's blunt instruments, blunt knives, blunt cutlery, blunt utensils is on show, and it's all his fault. It's his fault that Arsenal couldn't finish their chances yesterday. He wasn't on the pitch to do so, but he's the one who put those players out there. He's the one who bought those players. That's all you can turn around and say. You can blame the players, yes, for not being good enough, but then again, it's not their fault that they're not good enough. It's Mikel Arteta's fault for buying those type of players who are not good enough to get to the level that you may want Arsenal to be. Of course, it was evidence on the show yesterday that Isak and Gordon were controlling the game. They were running the show up front. At the back, Newcastle looked more defensively sound than Arsenal's back four did of a Timber, Saliba, Gabriel, and Miles Skelly, who actually looked better than all three of them as I'm talking right now. He looked one of the more composed, going forward, making tackles and breaking up play and going forward with the ball. The other three just look more pedestrian-like. When they get the ball, they just go side to side, very slow, takes 3 touches just to get the ball under control and then to move it on. Miles Skelly just gets the ball, 1 touch, bang, go. 1 touch, go past the defender and bring the ball forward. So we could talk about the defence, we could talk about the midfield, and we could talk about the attack under Mikel Arteta this season. Last season, and this is why I think he's still going to have a lot of grace time, Mikel Arteta, something that you don't want to hear. Last season, under Arteta's brain of football, Arsenal didn't need a striker because the goals can get shared around. They scored a plentiful of goals. So that proved to the board that his philosophy, his thoughts were correct. Hence why they don't go for a striker, or didn't go for a striker this season. Because should Arsenal have not scored as many goals as they did not get as close to the Premier League, they would have bought a striker. He would have had pressure to buy a striker. And that goes on to this part. That's why Edu, I think, as why Edu left. Because Edu would have been pushing for certain players to come in. We know there was certain, he wanted Virtus to come in. He didn't come in. He didn't really want Havertz, but they went and got Havertz. Arsenal, Edu didn't want Havertz. Mikel Arteta wanted Havertz, but they went and got Havertz because Mikel Arteta wanted it, even though Edu was begging them not to do these deals. And this is why Edu got frustrated in the end, because he said, what am I here for? Just to not manage, not even just to coach, just to get the players that you want, but I'm making recommendations. So he's gone somewhere where he has full control on what players can come in. They can make suggestions, but then he can put forward his suggestions. Now, bear in mind that Edu's recommendations haven't always worked to plan. Your Williams, your Marquinhos's, your David Luiz's. So even though Edu has a voice and he wanted his voice wasn't always as strong as it should be in his opinion. But back to Arsenal and yesterday's embarrassing defeat 2-0 to Newcastle. Newcastle just wanted it more. Eddie Howe set up the team in a way that you'd like Arsenal to be. But the problem is Arsenal don't have an Isak up front and Arsenal don't have an Anthony Gordon on the wing. You could say Saka, but Saka doesn't play the way that Anthony Gordon does, which is very direct with pace. Saka doesn't do those two things, and those are the two things that Arsenal need. Yes, they had Martinelli, but then he fluffed his lines when he hit the post in the first half, when really and truly could have got closer to the keeper and then slotted the ball away because he had the pace of the beating of the two defenders in his wake. So Martinelli, you fluffed your lines, you should have got closer and then tucked the ball away. Even that, you could have rounded the goalkeeper and the defenders would not even caught up with you if you rounded the goalkeeper and still tucked it away. Kai Havertz, second half, glaring miss. Might as well call it an open goal because the goalkeeper was rooted to the spot. Ball comes in. He's scared of heading the ball. Kai Havertz, who's 6 foot plus, who can jump, but yet eyes on the ball. And what happens? Hits his shoulder, goes horribly wide. Arsenal had another chance again with Timber, with another header to the back post from a corner. Arsenal had plentiful of chances yesterday, but the problem is they can't score. That's the problem. You bring on Jesus, you breathe on him, he falls down. There's no one else. They had Raheem Sterling, but he's only come back from injury. Arsenal don't have many attacking options. They really don't. You don't talk about Trossard in the same vein of life because he's just a not. He's not anything really and truly. He's just a squad player. And Arsenal's got to stop buying squad players and start buying starting 11 players. You say go after Isak. Is Newcastle are not going to sell Isak. They've got one foot in the door into the Carabao Cup final to get into the Champions League. They can get silverware this year. You're never getting Isak this season. You may get him next season for sure. You may stand a chance. But talking about Isak, talking about Gyökeres, in my opinion, which one's better? I would take Isak over the Gyökeres at this moment in time. If it's based on auditions on one game that we look at, we played Sporting away, and Gyökeres only had one moment in that game. He turned to Saliba on the halfway line, made a run. Okay, he then had another shot, but that was it. Isak ran the game yesterday. He made Saliba look stupid. He made Gabriel look stupid. He made Skelly look stupid. He made Timber look like a clown. Big difference. They're stupid. You can look. Man, he twisted you up, made you look stupid. He made Timber look like a clown. Timber didn't know what to do with the combination of a Gordon and an Isak up front. He didn't have a clue. He was all over the place. And that is the difference of a top level striker that Isak can bring to Arsenal. But even going into next season, I still don't think Arteta will go for a striker next season. I honestly do not believe that Arsenal will go for a striker. So just go for wingers, but wingers who are squad players and not starting 11. Arteta's scared of upsetting the apple cart, which is a Jesus and a Havertz. He is scared of doing that. He just has his belief in his head, and fine, there's nothing wrong with having a belief in your head. But when you change your winning formula of last season, thinking if I change it, will be better for this season. Whereas we just don't go for too many goals. We go for the goals and we'll shut up shop, and then that way we can win the league because that's what stopped us last season. That wasn't really what stopped you last season. What stopped you last season was too much tinkering again in certain games, especially that one game with the Aston Villa, as to why you didn't win the league. So what has to change with Arteta? Quite a lot. A lot of us are saying quite a lot. A lot of people are saying he just has to go. That's what needs to change. All he has to do is just revert back to what you was doing last season. It's not hard. Maybe a bit harder now because you don't have your Saka there to do it with the combination of a Martin Odegaard. I get that. But you just go out and buy a winger that puts chalk on the boots. When I say that, a winger that just plays wide. But then again, you then also need a striker. Because when you're whipping a ball in against a Newcastle with giant off central defenders and you got a Kai Havertz who can't even head the ball, it's pointless. All I saw yesterday was Arsenal whipping the ball in. And we haven't really seen that this season apart from corners. They're just whipping balls in the land of giants. What are you thinking? You're not going to score that way. But then again, they don't have Arsenal. Arsenal don't have shooting boots. So even trying to take a shot is like, it's not there. You had Gabriel taking shots from 25, nearly 30 yards out. That is how bad it is at Arsenal. Arsenal have lost the formula of winning like they did last season. Last season was brilliant to watch. Okay, trophyless, I get that, but it was still brilliant to watch. This season, it's just tough to watch. Still a good team, and a bit overreaction sometimes from the fans and maybe for myself, because last time I'm on the phone to my sister, she was at the game, and I said to her, I don't want to be one of those guys. I don't want to be one of those guys who just comes online and spouting my hatred, spouting it, because I don't have too much hatred. But at the same time, I don't want to sound like a fool. But it's quite hard not to sound like a fool when you come on here shouting, screaming Arteta out. I'm not there. I'm nowhere even close saying Arteta out. But what I'm saying is, Arteta, get out of your funk of thinking you don't need better players. You don't need starting 11 players. You need more of them. And go out and spend it. And then for Arteta also to come out in the press conference after the game and start talking about the ball, that's the reason why Arsenal didn't score. Oh boy, oh boy. When are the reporters actually going to say to Arteta, don't you think it's because you don't have a top-class striker like an Isak, like a Gyökeres in your team as to why you don't score goals? Don't you think it's because your wide men are just not good enough, who can deliver a ball, who can be direct, and also got an eye for goal? Don't you think that's really the problem, not just the ball? But the problem is the reporters don't want to upset the apple cart because they want to keep on getting invited back. And that's the problem. So not only is it Arteta's a problem, the mainstream media who go in and ask Arteta questions don't really ask him questions because they're scared that they're not going to get invited back. But the best way to get more credibility from the people who watch your shows or listen or read what you have to say is ask those tough questions. Because don't the managers know that's their job, is to answer questions. And they got the job by answering tough questions that were put to them. And then they give the waffle to get the job. And then when they get the job, they actually waffle when it comes to game time. I'm all animated. Yes, I am. But if you're still watching this part of the show, like, subscribe, and turn that notification on. Like the show. Don't like it just for the sake of it. Like it because you like what I'm saying. Like it because you feel the same way. Like it because you share the same sentiments as what I'm saying. And then subscribe to the show because there's more shows like this. There's other shows that I've done that you more than likely missed. That way, if you subscribe, you just go back to the channel, watch more shows. Let's get back to this game. It's a tough watch. FA Cup's coming up this weekend. What Arsenal's going to turn up, we don't know. Who's going to be up front, I don't care really. I've got to that point now. We're in January, we're not February. I don't want to say it like I'm writing the season off and sounding like one of those fans, but I'm writing the season off thinking, yes, we're going to go and win the league because the way we play, the way we don't have those attacking reinforcements, I have to write the season off. Should we then go up and buy the right striker, not just any striker, the right striker? Should we then go, I'm so sorry, my dog's here. Should we then go and buy the right winger, the creative side of it? Then my attitude may change and turn around and say, yes, I think we then come back in with a chance. But we still need Liverpool to mess up. We need Liverpool to mess up 4 times in order Arsenal to win 6 times for Arsenal to even have a chance. Does that make sense? It does. If you do the maths on it, it does. Arsenal in a world of hurt, fans coming out, kids crying. My nephew was crying because Arsenal lost yesterday. You know, that's the mess that Arsenal are in, and that is because of Arteta, because he is stubborn, because he refuses to see the errors of his ways as to why Arsenal are in this mess. You can turn around and say, look, if you want Isak, just go and blow the money, go and get him. Newcastle wouldn't even sell him now if you even offered them 130 million. Like I said, they're 1 foot in the door from going to a final, and they want the Champions League. Why sell him now? It's too valuable. That money's great, but they can't replace it. That means Newcastle start sliding down and Arsenal potentially start going up. But the way Arsenal play football right now, even if we had Isak, I think we would just misuse him rather than use him. That's the difference. So I'm Ty Knight here for TK24 Sports. Again, you're still watching at this part. Like, subscribe, turn the notification on so you don't miss a show every time we upload. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.